What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Coin Vigilante podcast, where you're going to get to hear a layman talk to some of the most prominent figures in the crypto and finance world as they try to explain some of the most complicated topics regarding finance, economics, stock market, and crypto in general. I will use this as an opportunity to gain a better understanding, and I hope you do as well. You're going to enjoy this next killer episode. And again, I thank you for watching. Let's go. All right, welcome guys to another episode of the Coin Vigilante podcast. So today, as you can see, we have a very cool special guest that I'm really excited about. We have Bitcoin Ben. So Bitcoin Ben, I've been following you around on Twitter for far too long. Ever since I got here in 2017 and was interested in Bitcoin and all that, I've been following you. A lot of people know about you, and you're really passionate about Bitcoin. And without further ado, Bitcoin Ben, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, no problem, Carlos. I appreciate the opportunity to actually come on your show and actually sit and chit chat.
Well, yeah, that's good. So, I've been following you again since 2017, and ever since you were a truck driver, and I always followed your YouTube content. It's always been really good. It just captivates me how passionate you are about Bitcoin, Litecoin, and crypto in general. A lot of people know you. I mean, I think you have about 25,000 followers on Twitter. So, a lot of people like your content. Now, I do have an audience, though, that has no idea about any of the people I talk to ever, right? I mean, they always wonder, who the hell is Carlos talking to now? So, Bitcoin Ben, if you could just give us a little bit of your background talking about Bitcoin, cryptos, and all that stuff, and how you got into crypto and all that, I think that'd be good.
Absolutely. Hey, everyone, it's your favorite ex-truck driver in the whole wide world. The reason I say X is I worked my way out of driving a truck, and now I'm in cryptos 100% of the time. I own two cryptocurrency companies. One is my show, and the other I offer crypto services, crypto laptops, and other things like that. And how I got started in it was just like everyone else out there watching this right now. You had a friend, or you heard something, or you saw a price, and you're like, "Wait, what is this Bitcoin thing?" And this sounds like a scam, And what happened was I was an over-the-road truck driver. I kind of retired into truck driving. I used to own a remodeling company, and I got rid of that. And I literally kind of retired into truck driving because I realized that I really can't catch fish very well, and I don't like playing golf. So retirement never really was, it didn't seem attractive. And so I was over the road, driving around the country and everything. And I heard an interview from, one of the most prominent people in cryptos. And he was explaining, Bitcoin. And I listened to it, and I'm like, that makes sense. And I realized that the technology was absolutely solid, and that there was no flaw in it, and that the time was right for this to happen. Like, the internet was no longer dial-up. So we had a global information transmission rate that was adequate for block time resolution for a blockchain. And that's really all you needed to have a blockchain work. And I started doing more research, and This was back in 20. I originally heard about it in like 2010, whenever like
Wow.
Bitcoin was like $8 or $12. Not smart enough to jump in there yet. But I did actually get involved in like 2015. And then I started my show in like 2016, maybe late 2015. Not it's been a while now. And I just started explaining to people what I was learning, like we were learning together. And
Mhm.
and I am not your average crypto show. If you're looking for something fancy, not me. If you're looking for something very well polished, once again, not me. Uh, I do all of my shows live, and I do a show 9 o'clock in the morning and 3 o'clock in the afternoon,
Okay.
and I love it, brother. I would not change anything.
And so what was the first thing? So you heard about Bitcoin. Like what was the first thing that captivated you? Like usually everyone has a different like thing that Bitcoin means to them. What was it? Like if there's like two things, three things that wow, like man, Bitcoin, there's something about this. What was it?
Well, number one was the passion of the community.
Mhm.
I mean, currency, and um, this is where I'm. This is where people usually get hooked on me. Is I'm not your average truck driver, right? Uh, my knowledge of currencies and history and economics is not that of an ordinary truck driver. So
Right.
what I realized was that the community of cryptos, especially Bitcoin, the brand, um, was enormous and growing at a rate that was just unprecedented. And I understand that currencies, especially Bitcoin, how it's structured and the code, all it does is it absorbs economic energy from its community. The more people that value it, the higher the value goes.
Yeah.
And this decentralized, deflationary, shrinking supply currency on the interwebs was genius. And if you understand, basic mathematics, if you have a shrinking supply with a growing community, that's price appreciation
Yeah.
without any real effort. And in fact, you don't even need a growing community if you have a shrinking supply, but the
Right.
community demand holds at exactly the same rate.
Yeah, and to add to that point, my fiance and I have been on a hunt to buy a damn house for the past like 2 months. It's been just psychotic. I mean, if you look at the price of houses, unbelievable. Literally, a house gets on the market, the moment it hits the market, it goes that same day, and you got to put like 25% above the asking price. And so to get it. So it's kind of nuts. We did that. We didn't even get it. Other people put even more than that. And so it's like, yeah, and part of it is I blame her because I'm totally fine with living in an apartment, but she wants a damn house. But anyway, we got to do what they got to do, right? But to add to this, you're talking about the supply shock, and it's the exact same thing. You're saying that if you have shrinking supply, it's essentially what's happening with houses for people that don't really understand what we're talking about. So the reason why houses, are going up in value is because demand is actually kind of staying the same. Or even if demand's dropping, that doesn't matter because supply is dropping even lower, right? And so maybe it's the same amount of buyers, but the supply for houses is shrinking because no one's building houses right now because of COVID, right? People cutting up wood are not doing it because of COVID regulations, right? So it's the same thing. And we're seeing this supply shock happening with Bitcoin, right? With real estate. And why? It's because on top of that, they're hard assets. These are assets that people want to hold, especially, I'd rather hold Bitcoin or actually real estate instead of a dying fiat dollar that's just sitting in my bank account earning nothing. And so, yeah, people find that kind of hard to grasp at the beginning. They can't seem to just jump and do that extra jump to understand that your fiat currency is actually worth nothing. And I talked about this with Charlie Lee. Man, that $1,200 stimulus that people got last year, you would have put into Bitcoin the day you got it, you'd have over $1,000. Who wouldn't like that? And then when I tell people, they're like, yeah, well, dude, you are losing purchasing power before your damn eyes, thanks to the Federal Reserve, thanks to the government. And that's kind of why I'm so into Bitcoin, because I'm like, man, I mean, how are people not wanting? Here's the thing. I was just talking to my boss last night, and I hope he doesn't listen to this. Actually, I hope he listens. But I teach tennis on the side too, and we're all drinking beers in the lobby, and the topic of Bitcoin came up, and he's like, "Why the hell do I want to buy Bitcoin? Like, what? Why do I even need to do that?" And I'm like, I was trying to just figure it out and not be so smart about it, or explain complicated things. And I'm like, you realize your money in your bank has not grown in value. If you look up, everyone that's listening right now, go to Google and type in the search box US dollar performance against Bitcoin. It basically tells you how the US dollar has done against Bitcoin. You look at the chart, it's like this. It's going down, 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 down the whole time, right? And that tells you that every single month and year that goes by, your dollar can buy less Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's growing in value. But see, I don't know Bitcoin or Ben. I don't know how you can explain this to people. I don't know what is it going to take for people to understand what the hell, like, why is Bitcoin so important? Why don't they get it? I don't know if they need a hard wake up call. I don't know if they need a
the issue here, especially in the Western world, especially America, is we have been spoiled. Prices in America, they don't really move much. The only thing that really fluctuates is actually like gasoline. Well, everywhere else in the world, every other commodity, every other grocery, um, everything else fluctuates like gasoline does here in America. Well, we have the privilege, which we're losing it right now, of actually being the world reserve currency. That means that every other currency is actually pegged with our dollar. So our currency is held up with the support and the reliance of our currency of every other currency in the world. So while the rest of the world has to produce uh, either automobiles or corn or whatever in order to have a healthy GDP, which is gross domestic product. The US doesn't have to do that. All we do is print money, and then we purchase the goods using the currency with the leverage that we have against them because we are the world's reserve currency. They need our dollars. So they accept our printed pieces of paper for true assets. And that's going away. Russia and China just announced that they were doing cross border trade, leaving out the SWIFT system. Well, the SWIFT system is the US monopoly on currency swaps all over the globe. Well, as we lose that, a lot of people don't understand that as we lose the world reserve currency status, and it isn't that someone, that some entity just says, you guys are no longer the world reserve currency.
Right.
It's a choice that each country's making to just not use it anymore. Well, they have a lot in reserves because they've needed it. Well, as they switch over to a new system, those reserves they hold in US dollar are going to flood right back into America through purchases of land. China for a while they were buying every piece of land they could get their whole hands on. And they're doing the same thing. We're going to reach a point, unless the government smartens up, which never bet on that, that these US dollars are going to flood into America. Housing market's going to continue to go higher. I don't know if you've actually been paying attention, but the price of wood is outrageous.
Skyrocketing.
It went from like $2.80 for a 2x4 up to like $8 in less than 2 months.
It's at 15 now.
You're kidding me.
Yeah. Well, we were trying to, when we were looking at the market, we were like, man, would it be cheaper to just build a damn house? So we went and talked to a guy, and then, this is our price range. We told him. He's like, yeah, we can't do that. And we're not people that have like a ton of money.
No house for you.
Yeah, no house for us, right? And so yeah, we have to live in a shack, man. We just have to build something out there. I don't know. But anyway, and we're like, well, why? What's going on? And he's like, yeah, well, the price for that wood, the 2x4, went from $3 to $8, and now it's at around $14. We're like, what in the hell? So, we're definitely getting shammed there. But like you're saying, I mean, price of, real estate's going to go up.
Yeah. And see, the economy is a breathing and living entity. And people have to understand that as prices rise in one area, that the human demand is going to watershed into another area. And I don't know there we go, green screen. So the new house construction is going to slump off. Well, all of that human demand for housing is going to watershed moment into existing housing, which is going to only exasperate. Is that the word?
Exacerbate, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. The existing crunch in existing housing. So prices are going to jump up again in existing housing. And it's because which is going to watershed into people being priced out of the market. And you're a pretty young guy, and not that I know like your financial situation, but when I was young, I wasn't rich, a house, I was looking for a nice little, maybe 2-bedroom, like 1.5 bath, right. Something decent. And you guys, your generation, you guys are getting priced out of the market.
I mean, we're getting destroyed. I mean,
you're getting killed. You're literally you're going to be living on a van by the river.
But who's to blame? Who's to blame? I mean, is it the
The
Fed?
central banks.
And yeah, it's crazy. And I've talked about this. And yeah, the crazy thing is that we're seeing the biggest wealth disparity ever. Ever since the pandemic started, right? The pandemic starts, and we're seeing this, and one of the worst economic crises since the Great Depression. I mean, how does that make any sense? And essentially, people still don't understand all this printed money has been helping the stock market, has been helping Bitcoin, has been helping real estate. They all go up in value, and who holds all of those assets? The top 10% of the United States. Meanwhile, the rest of the people hold dollars. So it's like, I don't know if it's the baby boomers that screwed us. I don't know what it is, but I know it's the Fed, the government, who is also facilitating this. But then at some point, like you said, people are kind of just too complacent. They don't really see an issue until there's an issue.
Yeah,
And but it seems like we're okay with doing it. And you know what? The government is so happy doing this, and people are so happy with the stimulus because they're getting their $1,200 checks, their $1,000 checks, $1,400 checks. And I call that a participation ticket, a participation price to a game that you're fucking losing. Because, I mean, you realize
yeah,
that money, I mean, it's basically to keep you from revolting, because
yeah.
this is such a scam what's happening here. I mean,
They're they're bribing us with bread during the uh, the horse and the circus show. It's everything's an illusion now. Like our currency, I don't want to even call it that, our US dollar is an illusion of value. It's we live in a world of lies that our government just repeats every night at 5 and 6 and 10 o'clock. It's just a repetition of a lie, and the average person is so wrapped up in the rat race of just getting by that $1,000 check that they don't understand a year ago would have been worth maybe 1,600, but the purchasing power has dropped and they're giving you less. So they're actually giving you less than they did purchasing power than they did before. And and that shows up clear with how you and I were actually talking. The stimulus check you got last year, whenever it was, uh, that was initially 1,200. If you would have put that in Bitcoin, you're sitting at like 4,800 or so. Your purchasing power in fiat, your purchasing power in Bitcoin, and I think that the average Joe and Jane, they're not going to know until they know. You know, they're uh, they're going to have like a Weimar Republic moment where
yeah.
they go down to the grocery store and they're like, "Wow, these eggs that were, $2.39 are now sitting at $6, but yet their paycheck hasn't changed." And it's 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 gonna we as the crypto community, you want to help your friends, sit them down and tell them about cryptos. Do a currency intervention. Say, look,
Yeah.
here. And if you want, you can use this video and I'll do it for you. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. Hi, how are you? Your friend here has brought you here because he or she has noticed some issues in your life. They care about you. They do. And it's time that we remove the needle of the fiat currency out of your arm. We love you. We want you to prosper, not slowly go down with a sinking ship. I know you've noticed it. You've seen it, the price of gas, the price of food, your paycheck not really keeping up with that increase. Well, your friend has brought you here for this crypto intervention. I hope you listen to your friend. Your friend's trying to save your life, and not just your life, but save you money, and not just money, save your labor power. Your paycheck is a digital representation of your labor. They're trying to save your time. So listen to your friend here and let them help you. This has been a public service announcement by Bitcoin Red.
My God, I
And
couldn't have said that better. My goodness, that should be. Yeah, we need to add. I need to put like $100. Like, I don't know. We need to market it everywhere here. I think I'm gonna use it as my trailer.
yeah,
But
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
But it's crazy. You talk about that, and the current system doesn't respect your effort. That we usually talk about money, but it's not just money, man. I mean, man, I'm working 9 to 5. I have people that I love so much that are working their asses off, that are earning minimum wage, that they're working so hard, they're putting in their time, they're not seeing their family because they're working, right? It's almost like a personal thing that I have, because the current system doesn't appreciate that, because yes, you're getting a paycheck, but it doesn't keep up with everything else. It doesn't, right? The system doesn't respect your 9 to 5 effort that you're putting in. You know what does? Bitcoin, crypto. It's the first time we have the escape. And I just beg that everyone that's listening here, just please, just consider this, because it's so important. If you care about your family, if you care about your effort, they're literally spitting at your face by doing what they're doing, by printing money, by flooding the system, by removing your purchasing power. And, sooner or later, you're going to see it, you're going to feel it. And, you better be ready. That's my 2 cents on this. And it's like a personal thing. It's not even like a thing about, I'm not here just to make money, man. I'm here because I know this is respecting my time. This is going to give me a better future for my family. It's going to help people all over the world. And think about this. A lot of people don't talk about this. Just like we're talking about, the United States has a certain purchasing power compared to Mexico, right? I have family in Mexico. Our dollar is 20 times as much as a peso, right? So we have that's a conversion rate. I think it's 21 pesos for a dollar. So my family there is working their ass off, right? Very hardworking family. Yet their purchasing power is just getting absolutely destroyed, because we have the foreign exchange, right? We have different currency valuations everywhere. The purchasing power is different in every country. By having Bitcoin be the universal currency that people hold, everyone now has a fair play. Everyone is going by the same rules. 1 Bitcoin equals 1 Bitcoin. 2 Satoshis, or $30 of Bitcoin, is $30 of Bitcoin in the US and Mexico and Venezuela and Iraq and anywhere that you go. And that is mind-blowing, because never in our life have we had that opportunity, unless you hold gold bars. But what can you do with it? So it's nuts when you think about it.
Yeah, I try and educate people on every show. And what I try and educate them into is realizing that cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, they are going to save a large swath of the global economy, because as you devalue currencies, you are literally killing your country, because your country's currency is a physical representation of your country's labor supply. And as you devalue the labor supply, the amount of labor in your country shrinks. And people don't understand that, that like perfect example, Venezuela. Venezuela used to be one of the richest countries in the world. I mean, literally, they were. I mean, if you lived in Venezuela, you were the bee's knees. You know, everyone wanted your currency. Well, then they elected a liberal Democrat, government, and they printed the hell out of the currency. And just look at the country now. They have hardly any GDP other than oil, and it's the labor supply dwindled against the currency because the inflation actually destroyed the uh, the labor to currency ratio, which actually discouraged employment, and that that's suicide.
Yeah.
Well, now the whole world is in this monetary fiat currency noose, and they're slowly dropping the floor. And the only thing you have, and luckily most available to everyone in the world, if you look for it, is actual Bitcoin. It's it's that it's that labor floor that's solid. It
Yeah.
cannot be moved by any entity in the world. It's the code is the code.
Yeah.
And the reason that cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Litecoin and Ethereum and others are going up because we haven't even hit the utility phase of Ethereum yet.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that. Anybody here really using Ethereum? No, they're still in their pre-launch, and
Yeah.
the price has gone from when I initially got in. It was like $1.25 or like $2. It's over $2,000, and it's not even used for what it was made for yet.
Yeah.
It's like you order a Lamborghini and it's not even fully designed yet, but you've already paid for it. The pre-hype price of Ethereum is already crazy, and it hasn't officially really launched a product other than products that are actually based on monetary uh, uh, economics and some, art and music and stuff like that. But the use case of Ethereum is not even widely used across the world yet. Wait until these major corporations and wait until these countries actually have a suite of of Ethereum based products that they can go shopping for and solve thousands of problems with smart contracts, i.e., smart money.
Yeah.
And what will ETH be worth then? Once it's actually applied to the global economy,
Yeah.
I'm thinking 20, 30, $40,000 in ETH. And for
Right.
those of you that think I'm crazy, like, oh my, Bitcoin, Ben, you're nuts. Really? I know a guy who bought Bitcoin when it was a nickel each.
Yeah.
It's at $59,000 now. You're telling me that Ethereum can't hit 30, 40, $50,000? See, that's what people have to realize. We're transitioning into a new way of thinking. It isn't, hey, we're going from one fiat to another. Oh, no, my friends. We are shifting into a new digital representation of global economic energy.
Right.
The globe, the whole wide world is pushing economic energy into Bitcoin. And as it gets bigger, more people are putting economic energy into it. The snowball's rolling down the hill. And the nice little cozy, snuggly town that's sitting in the valley is the central banks. And Bitcoin is going to roll over them. Like they're going to launch the little SDRs. And, China's going to launch the little digital, Chinese dollar. And everyone's going to look at it and go, oh, how cute. The fuck we need that piece of shit for? We've got Bitcoin. We've got Lightning Network. We've got Litecoin. We have an app that we can shoot value around the world, and it costs us less than a penny. China, go fuck yourself and your whatever you want to call it, your digital whatever. No one gives a shit anymore. We didn't not like your currency because it was physical. Your digital representation of the turd you've been having us use is just a digital turd. We don't want shit on our phone. So I'm just saying,
That's accurate.
I could be wrong.
I think a lot of people like to say that, but in different words. But that's just a real representation of that. I mean, it's true. And people look, and this goes back to this, right? We don't want that damn central bank currency, those whatever they're trying to do. And part of it is because people, as shit hits the fan and people start realizing that the government has continued to lie to you, they're going to realize that. And look, I want to kind of gear our topic more towards government control. I want to hear your take on that. Here's what I've figured, and this is not based on conspiracy. What I'm about to say is not even based on conspiracy, right? The government lied to us about Iraq to our freaking face, right? It was based on a lie. A lot of people died for that, crazy stuff. They also lie, have you seen the movie Snowden? I don't know what your take is on Snowden, Edward Snowden. God damn, the government is spying on us. Like right now, they're probably looking at me right now and taking notes to when they're going to lock me up or something. I don't know what they're doing. They're literally using every device. They literally type anything and it redirects them to your phone. Like right now, they could be seeing us right now. And so they're spying on their own people. And in the movie that I saw, I haven't read the book or anything, they spied more on American than they spied on our enemies. What the hell? And, the list goes on. And banks, banks that are supported by the government because the government bails them out. The government, when they print money, they give the money to the private banks. They rig the commodities market. They rig everything. They participate in fraudulent activity to make themselves rich while they're sponsored by the government. And you know what the government does? Oh my God, yeah, we're going to give you a fee. You're going to have to pay us a fee of $5 billion. Well, you know how much money they made from that fraudulent activity? $80 billion. So at this point, there's no incentive for them not to keep doing this because it's just the cost of doing business. And so that's already like literally them spitting at our face again. And now, when it comes to COVID, and trust me, I have family members that pass away from COVID and all this. I know, it's real and stuff. But if you look at what the government's doing, the government is not here, for your benefit. I mean, they say they are. But if you look at all the check marks, all the list that goes on and on, they've lied to us. And all of these things that I've said are not conspiracy. That's the crazy thing. I mean, you would have think that, a government lying about a war that killed a bunch of people is a conspiracy. No, it's not. And so whenever I hear this whole thing about, for example, you need passports, to get to be able to travel. Like for me to go visit my family in Mexico, I need a fucking passport. Really? You're stupid to make me think that I'm going to agree with that. No. And look, I don't give a shit if you get the vaccine or not. Go ahead, do it. You know, apparently it's my body, my choice. That's what they've always said, right? So
Yeah.
how
Well,
about
that's
we,
changing now. They don't like
how,
that opinion anymore.
yeah, how about we keep that consistent, right? And so, but the moment you start using this as a ploy to make me think that I need a passport to be able to do this, I think that's kind of infringing on my rights, right? And it's becoming, and I think they're actually not going to do it. But anyway, leaving that aside, what is your take on that? I mean, government control. Are you for more government control, for less government control? Why?
I am completely anti government structure we have now. Right? I am pro government structure 1768. Right? Not only do I love cryptocurrency, I am a history nut. I only read original source. Do not read a history book. That's only an agenda put into words and then placed in your hands. You want to learn about history, and everything you said is true. The governments create wars, right? For those of you that don't know, World War I was planned. World War II was planned. World War, well, I'll watch what I say there. The Vietnam War was planned. The Korean War was planned, and it's the Afghanistan War was planned. It's all a reorganization plan of global government structure, because the issue we have is that technology, we're at a breaking point right now. Either we are free or we are going to be enslaved. And people may or may not believe that. I don't care if you believe it. It's happening. I don't need to prove anything to anybody. They are using an illusion to convince us that we need to be centralized and controlled for our health. You know what other large historical entities have done that? All of them. It happened in Jesus's day. It happened with Rome. It happened with
Germany.
Germany, Russia, or the USSR. It happened with Chairman Mao in China. It happens over and over again, except, see, here in America, this has been a 140-year plan of what is called the progressive movement. Look it up. It was launched out of the London School of Economics in 1881. It was actually founded on the principles of the Communist Manifesto. And the Communist Party split into two entities: the revolutionaries that went into Russia, and those were the pro-war. That was the Stalins and all them. Then you had the progressive branch, which when they split out of the communist, union out of the School of London, they formed an entity called the Fabian Society. Look it up. They still exist today. Their their logo, it's a sheep in wolf's or a wolf in sheep's clothing. That's their logo. And they actually came over to America. The initial influx was about 1901. And they brought people like Bernard Shaw, look him up, and these people, they originally they were trying to eradicate certain races of humanity, actually based on eugenics. Now, eugenics is the foundation for Planned Parenthood. For those of you that don't know what Planned Parenthood is, which I'm sure everyone does, and I'm going to link this together with modern times really quick. You know whose father was the CEO of Planned Parenthood in the 1970s? Mr. Bill Gates, the head honcho of Microsoft that recently retired. His father was the CEO of Planned Parenthood in the 1970s. Now, what are the odds that the CEO of Planned Parenthood's son just happened to purchase a government-created technology called, oh God, basic, what was the language of, I can't remember, but
I can look it up. I don't
federal
know.
government actually created a computer language, right, in the mid to late 1970s. That language was then sold or leased and sold to a company called Texas Instruments. Then Texas Instruments sold it to these two bright-eyed young men. One of them happened to be Bill Gates for $50,000. The next year, they launched Microsoft. Now, do you think that the influence that his father had anything to do with Bill Gates getting the ability to purchase government-created software? Absolutely.
Of course.
You don't have to be a conspiracy theorist, which everyone should be. If your wife's working late every night and she comes home, hair all messed up and lipstick smeared, and you're like, honey, cheating on me? You're such a conspiracy theorist. And I'm just looking at the signs, babe. It's people need to start realizing that everything's an agenda. Why do you think the global governance structure has Agenda 21 or Agenda 2020, Agenda 2025, Agenda 2030? You know why? Because that's their damn agenda. It's aptly named. So if you think it's a conspiracy theory that this entity wants to eradicate oil usage over the globe within 10 years, that's not conspiracy, right? In the 1970s, the agenda documents that were put out, guess what? They were talking about releasing digital currencies. Was that a conspiracy or was it a damn plan? When you go shopping and you make out a grocery list, are you a conspiracy theorist for getting groceries? No, you're making a plan to go get some damn groceries. You have to unplug this this taint of language that the mainstream media and the education system has put on us. Anybody that points at anybody and says it's a conspiracy theorist, the person saying it's a conspiracy theorist is probably a dipshit and should be labeled as such. Because education is only exchange of opinion.
Right.
That's all it is. I can raise my son and teach him that how to catch a fish is to throw a brick in some water. And as he grows up and goes out fishing with his friends with a pile of fucking bricks, his friends look at him and go, "What the fuck are you doing?" "I'm going fishing." "Well, wait, what?" "Yeah, my dad taught me this is how you fish." Being taught an illusion does not mean you're educated in reality. It just means you're indoctrinated with an opinion. So people need to unplug themselves and start really looking at the real world. Don't you want to see the real world? Go talk to your neighbors and turn off your TV. Ask old Leslie or ask like Bob down the road. Hey, how you doing? "I'm doing all right. They're cutting back on my hours at work, but I'm doing all right. We're getting by. We're gonna be all right." Then go ask your other neighbor. Then ask people at church. You want to know the truth? Quit looking to the liars and hoping and crossing your fingers that they tell you the damn truth. They're not gonna, because they rely on the lie. They rely on the illusion for a paycheck. If you tie a man's paycheck to the truth, you'll get the truth. You tie a man's paycheck to a lie, you'll get a lie. Because he has a personal agenda of feeding his family. Unplug from the illusion of the screen in front of you and plug into the truth. The truth is out there. You just got to ask the question in your reality, not through a television screen.
And you know what's interesting, to add to that, when I think of all this, I went to college, I did international business. Not once did I have a class that, taught me about money. I'm doing international business, and you're not telling me how the hell money's created. You're not telling me how they don't tell you anything, man. And they don't tell you that by holding dollars, you're losing purchasing. Like, if the education system really cared for you, man, they'd be teaching all about the current fiat system, but they don't. And it's an agenda too. I mean, I have incredibly smart professors. They've killed it in business. They've done this. Never do they talk about this. And I don't know if because they're also indoctrinated. And so look, and this is a thing, free thought, free thought. Our founding fathers here in the United States, it's in our founding principles, like as an American, right? The people that left England, they left because of government control, religious control, persecution of that sort. And they left because of that. They had free thought within their blood. They wanted to think for themselves, have their individual rights, their freedoms. And here we go now, government trying to take free thought away, making you believe that you need to listen to everything they say when they continue to lie to you. And this is not conspiracy, guys. I mean, it's the thing. It's the truth. And everything I've learned about Bitcoin, everything I've learned about economics, everything that I've learned that's important right now and has benefited myself is research that I've done myself. I haven't needed to go to school to do it, right? And the success that I've been in is because of that free thought, of reaching out myself, of finding truth, not because someone tells me something is true. And I think people need to realize, and it's not even about politics, guys. I mean, for anything that you're doing, if you're listening, do your own research, talk to people, just like I'm talking to Bitcoin Ben. I'm learning so much about him, and I'm learning so much about what's going on, right? I don't, if you believe that you need the government out there to help you succeed, you're going to be in a losing game, and it's going to be a quick losing game. You cannot depend on the government. You cannot depend on mommy and daddy. The moment you become independent and figure it out for yourself, I think that's going to be what's going to ultimately help you.
Absolutely. And people need to really understand the historical progression of control that we've been moving into, because government initially was just a ledger. That's what government was. It was a ledger of ownership. You would report your land ownings to the government. That's it. They held title. That's it. We have regressed in America, and now we live in a serfdom society where now the lords, which we elect now because the only people running for office are people that want to control. You know, any politician that tells you he's got a plan, it's just control. And mark my words, someday I'm going to run for some office. It'll probably be local. And my platform is going to be, and I swear to God, word for word, I don't give a fuck. People are going to ask me, what's your plans for such and such? I don't give a fuck. How do you plan on handling poverty? I don't give a fuck. Because people need to understand the only cure for laziness is hunger. That's it.
Yeah.
Don't feed a motherfucker who's hungry. Hand him a fucking shovel. Because, and my grandfather taught me that the only cure for laziness is hunger. Don't give him $1, give him a job. You know, we have turned into this, and anybody watching with children, please shut off right now. We have turned into this big pussy ass environment where we cradle the weak. No. You don't cradle the weak. You let the weak overcome their obstacles. You don't. Weakness. Everybody's got a weakness. I have a speech impediment. You know what I learned to do to avoid problemed words? I got a bigger vocabulary, and I learned words that I can replace with other words very quickly in my head, so that I don't use words that I have trouble saying. Did I ask the government, hey, could you have somebody come speak for me? No, you have to overcome your obstacles, and that is how you grow. People have been taught that suffering is bad. Suffering is not bad. Suffering is the engine of advancement.
Yeah.
If you don't suffer, and when I say suffer, especially here in America, that means can't quite afford that iPhone I want. That's our suffering level. The hashtag woke group. Down with capitalism. Let me tweet that out on my cell phone. Idiot. We've educated and indoctrinated a whole generation of people into looking at a homeless person holding a sign with a cell phone and Levi's and, all that, and looking at them and going, oh, poor fella. That guy can get a job. You don't wake up one day homeless. All right. That's not how this shit works. Homelessness is a road you go down. All right. You don't have a house and a wife and kids, and then the next day you wake up under a fucking bridge. That's not how it works. You make stupid, bad choices along that whole damn road to homelessness. We need to force people to live in their own reality because they will reverse their reality once they hit a point that they're no longer acceptable with.
Right.
Charity is for children and dogs, not for a full-grown 30-year-old man on the side of the road holding a sign that says homeless and hungry. Well, I'll tell you what, homeless and hungry, go get a fucking job. And I don't give a shit if it's a job working at McDonald's that you think you're too damn good for. We have been too easy on too many people. Struggle, there's a reason struggle and success start with the same letter. Because you need to struggle to succeed. End of story. You want to climb a hill, move your fucking feet. You want to fall down the hill, lift your feet up.
That's perfect. And, when I think about this too is, I don't know if you're a Jesus believer or whatever, but if you...
Absolutely. I follow Jesus Christ proudly.
Well, think about it. There's somewhere in the Bible, I don't remember what it said. And he was like, don't give a guy the damn fish, teach him how to damn fish. And I think Jesus was, it's living example, man. And it goes for anything that we're talking about, I'm sure there's always the exceptions, people that do need the help, but my goodness, I mean, the issue starts when the cultural, perspective shifts and into, we need to help everyone out like this. And instead of actually teaching them how to damn fish, right? That's ultimately
our church. We have a building that's got groceries in it. All right. You're hungry. You need help. Come on in. We'll give you groceries. We'll give you diapers. We'll give you whatever you need. One requirement. Up here, we have a list of jobs that the people at this church who own businesses that need help, we have a list of jobs right here. You have to apply for one of these jobs if you're going to come in here and actually get free food. Because Jesus, all you need to do is read the Bible. The universities need to throw out all the books but the Bible, because most of them are bullshit. Give the people the Bible. Let them read it. Let them learn the lessons that are in the Bible. Send them out in the world. They'll be fine if they apply the lessons of the Bible. Because Jesus was about helping. But if you notice, with every healing, what did he say? Or how did he heal them? This is where a lot of the people get messed up.
Yeah.
The blind man had to rub the dirt on his eyes and believe that he could see. You've got to believe in yourself, and then you have to do the action yourself. Jesus did not wipe that guy's eyes. He did.
Right.
Success is dependent on action. So if you think you're going to fail or you think you're going to succeed, the answer is yes. If you think you'll fail, yes. If you think you'll succeed, yes. You need to shift the mindset of yourself, and that originates at your soul. You have to be worthy of the job. You have to be worthy of the love. You have to improve yourself in order to improve your life.
Right.
You want to live a better life, then be a better person.
Right.
You want to make a lot of money, make a lot of people smile. The money's a byproduct of the smile.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Quit with the excuses and get on with the action. That's Bitcoin Ben's message.
Man, what a conversation. Man, this is good, man. I mean, trust me, I agree with all this, and it's a lifestyle. I mean, it's a lifestyle. It's not easy. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. So, I totally agree with struggle, and part of that, that's why I love sports. If you play sports, you're gonna understand that struggle is required to be good and to deserve. You're at the spot and at the ranking that you deserve based on the struggle you had and the effort you put. That's how it is. Sports is basically the free markets, the capitalism. That's what sports is, and it's the best. That's just what it is, and it's amazing. People love it. So, okay. So last couple questions. I'm keeping it here long, man. Today.
Yeah, I actually got like 5 minutes.
Okay. All right, let's do this. All right, so rapid fire. So I'm going to give you just a phrase or a word. You got to respond in one word. The first word that comes into your mind. Okay. All right. Let's start with Bitcoin.
Awesome.
Okay. Litecoin.
Even more awesome. No. Efficient.
Efficient. Stock market.
Joke.
Peter Schiff.
Liar.
Oh God. Let's see. Government.
Liar.
Okay, gotcha. All right, last thing. If there's what is a movie that has moved you a lot and a book that has moved you a lot that you're like, man, it changed my life. I highly recommend it.
Movie would be Schindler's List.
Okay.
Book would be probably Atlas Shrugged.
Okay. Huh. Got it. All right, cool, man. All right. Well, hey, I enjoyed this this episode. I'm really happy you came on. I want to do this again at some point. So let's figure out how we can do this more often, because man, I enjoyed it deeply, and I think a lot of people are gonna like it too.
Absolutely. And anyone who's actually wanting to find my channel, I had a big YouTube channel, and then YouTube decided I didn't need it anymore. I wonder why. So I'm actually back on YouTube. You just look up, Bitcoin Ben, It's my super secret channel. And I'm also on Rumble.
Got it. All right. Yep. So just follow the guy, man. He knows what he's talking about. Really good content. I don't care if you agree with half of the stuff he says. It's amazing. I mean, and he's passionate and he cares about you. So go ahead, follow his content on YouTube and Rumble and Twitter. So Bitcoin Ben,
Yes.
thanks, man.
Awesome, brother. Thanks for having me.